A wise woman, in her pursuit of personal growth, peace, and fulfillment, understands that life is a series of challenges. It is not simply a matter of achieving goals or amassing wealth, but rather a journey of self-awareness, wisdom, and discernment. In this journey, there are certain pitfalls that a wise woman avoids to protect herself, her relationships, and her sense of purpose. These are not arbitrary choices, but rather mindful practices that help her maintain clarity and balance in the chaos of life. In the midst of the tumult of the world, there are three significant things that a wise woman consciously avoids: unnecessary drama, the illusion of perfection, and self-sacrifice at the expense of her own well-being. The first thing a wise woman avoids is unnecessary drama. Life can often present itself as a whirlwind of emotions, conflicts, and misunderstandings. People, whether intentionally or unintentionally, can bring drama into her life, trying to stir up negativity or confusion. A wise woman understands that engaging in drama is not only unproductive, but it also drains her energy and takes her focus away from what truly matters. She has learned to distinguish between healthy conflict and the toxicity of unnecessary emotional turmoil. She doesn't indulge in gossip, petty arguments, or the perpetuation of negativity. Instead, she chooses to invest her emotional energy in pursuits that align with her values and growth. And inclines to take risks and pleasures, she lives her life with rigor and purpose. Drama can manifest in many forms. It could be the gossip that circulates through social circles, the tension that simmers between family members, or the manipulative behaviors of others that seek to control or diminish her. A wise woman knows that getting caught up in such cycles only distracts her from her true goals and purposes. Her energy is too valuable to be spent on engaging in the trivial and often harmful disputes that many are so quick to indulge in. She has learned that maintaining her emotional equilibrium is essential for her health, productivity, and sense of peace. When faced with drama, she takes a step back. She asks herself whether engaging in the situation will bring her closer to her values or take her further from them. A wise woman recognizes that some battles are not worth fighting, that some relationships are better left to dissipate naturally, and that peace of mind is more important than winning an argument. In choosing not to engage, she preserves her integrity and emotional well-being. She also gives others the opportunity to resolve their own issues without being dragged into their turmoil. She doesn't control the actions of others, but she can control her response, and that is where her true power lies. She uncovers the truth about other people, allows them to recognize their true nature, and grows into their true potential. The second thing a wise woman avoids is the illusion of perfection. Perfection is a myth that has plagued individuals for centuries. It is an unattainable standard that can paralyze a person's progress and cause unnecessary self-criticism. Society, with its constant bombardment of idealized images, unrealistic expectations, and overblown success stories, often perpetuates this illusion. The wise woman recognizes the damage that comes from striving for perfection, not because she doesn't care about excellence or improvement, but because she understands that perfection is a trap. It is an illusion that sets individuals up for disappointment, frustration, and eventual burnout. Executing a life of perfection is not a way to live, because there is a limitation. She understands that imperfection is not a flaw to be ashamed of, but a fundamental aspect of being human. It is through our imperfections that we learn, grow, and evolve. In every mistake, there is an opportunity for insight. In every failure, there is a chance to rebuild. A wise woman understands that true growth comes from embracing her imperfections and using them as stepping stones towards greater wisdom and self-acceptance. And she does not view herself through the lens of an impossible ideal, but rather as a continually evolving person who learns from experiences, both positive and negative. This mindset frees her from the suffocating burden of unrealistic standards. She does not seek validation through flawless achievement, nor does she measure her worth based on external approval. She realizes that her value is not determined by how perfectly she meets societal expectations, but by the authenticity and integrity with which she lives her life. The wise woman allows herself to fail, to struggle, and to be imperfect because she knows that each of these moments contributes to her journey of self-realization and growth. Moreover, the wise woman understands that the pursuit of perfection is often a form of procrastination. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of not being enough can all stem from an obsession with perfection. This leads to inaction, stunted growth, and a life unfulfilled. The wise woman, however, is willing to take imperfect action, knowing that the act of moving forward is far more valuable than waiting for the perfect moment that may never arrive. In doing so, she frees herself from the constraints of perfectionism and embraces a life of progress rather than stagnation. The third thing a wise woman avoids is self-sacrifice at the expense of her own well-being. While it is undoubtedly important to show kindness, generosity, and compassion towards others, a wise woman knows that these qualities should never come at the cost of her own physical, emotional, or mental health. She understands that in order to care for others effectively, she must first take care of herself. This is not an act of selfishness, but one of wisdom. She knows that a depleted, worn-out person cannot serve others with the same energy, love, and presence that a healthy, balanced person can. Self-sacrifice can often be disguised as a noble gesture, particularly for those who are caregivers, nurturers, or those in positions of service. It can feel virtuous to give endlessly, to put others first, and to ignore one's own needs. However, over time, this mentality leads to exhaustion, resentment, and a deep sense of unfulfillment. The wise woman avoids this pattern by recognizing the importance of setting healthy boundaries and prioritizing her own well-being. She knows that she must be whole within herself in order to be of service to others. And this wholeness comes from maintaining balance in all areas of her life. Men, in practical terms, this means that she is not afraid to say no when necessary. She is not afraid to ask for help or to take time for herself when she needs it. A wise woman understands that she cannot pour from an empty cup, and that taking the time to recharge is essential not only for her own health, but also for the well-being of those she cares about. She does not sacrifice her needs for the sake of others in ways that leave her depleted. She strikes a balance between caring for others and caring for herself, recognizing that her capacity to love and serve others is enhanced when she is at her best. The wise woman also knows that there is strength in vulnerability. She is not afraid to acknowledge her limits and seek support when needed. This does not diminish her power or worth, but rather enhances it by demonstrating that strength lies not in perpetual self-sacrifice, but in knowing when to stand up for herself and when to ask for help. She has the courage to put her own well-being at the forefront, not as an act of selfishness, but as an essential practice for living a life of balance, health, and authenticity. In conclusion, the wise woman navigates life with a deep understanding of the importance of self-preservation, emotional clarity, and realistic expectations. She avoids unnecessary drama because she knows that engaging in conflict without purpose only drains her energy and prevents her from growing. She avoids the illusion of perfection because she understands that true progress comes from embracing imperfection and learning from her experiences. And she avoids self-sacrifice at the expense of her well-being, recognizing that she must take care of herself in order to truly care for others and live a fulfilled life. These choices are not about avoiding hardship or difficulty. Rather, they are about cultivating the resilience, clarity, and strength to face life's challenges with wisdom and grace. This mirrors the cycle through which masculine culture progresses, and women recognize that without a strong sense of well-being, they too can be ready for fighting any foe. A wise woman preserves her energy and focus by steering clear of toxic conflicts, gossip, and emotional turbulence, choosing instead to invest in meaningful, growth-oriented pursuits that align with her values. Understanding that perfection is unattainable and counterproductive, a wise woman embraces her imperfections as essential aspects of personal growth, viewing failures and mistakes as opportunities for learning and self-improvement. A wise woman recognizes the importance of maintaining her physical, emotional, and mental well-being, understanding that true service to others can only come when she takes care of herself first, setting healthy boundaries to avoid burnout. Writing a 500-word essay would be quite an extensive task and may not be ideal for a single response due to platform constraints. However, I can begin by providing a detailed expansion on the concept of avoiding unnecessary drama and break it down into several sections that together would help to deeply explore this subject. Here's the extended version of the original point. On avoiding unnecessary drama, a wise woman, in navigating the complexities of life, recognizes that not every conflict is worth engaging in. Drama, whether it stems from misunderstandings, emotional manipulation, or external conflict, can often serve as a distraction, diverting attention away from more meaningful pursuits. To avoid unnecessary drama is to safeguard one's emotional and mental well-being, recognizing that the energy spent on it is not only unproductive, but can also erode one's inner peace. Drama is pervasive in everyday life, often being a natural byproduct of human interactions, but it is not always an inevitable consequence. How one chooses to respond to it can make the difference between being consumed by it or maintaining a sense of control, equilibrium, and focus on the things that matter most. At its core, drama thrives on chaos, and it tends to manifest when individuals, knowingly or unknowingly, contribute to or perpetuate a cycle of negativity, conflict, or emotional upheaval. This can happen in both personal and professional settings. In friendships, for example, drama may emerge through gossip, triangulation, or emotional manipulation. In work environments, it might show up as backstabbing, office politics, or unwarranted conflict between colleagues. The truth is that drama is not always about outright hostility. It can often be more subtle, appearing in the form of passive-aggressive behavior, misunderstandings, or the projection of unresolved insecurities onto others. A wise woman, when faced with these situations, understands the deeper dynamics at play and does not allow herself to become entangled in the emotional turmoil that others may create. The first step to avoiding unnecessary drama is self-awareness. A wise woman knows herself deeply, her values, her emotional triggers, and her long-term goals. This self-awareness allows her to assess situations more clearly and avoid being swept up in the emotional currents of the moment. Often, drama arises when individuals act from a place of fear, insecurity, or unresolved emotional wounds. These emotions can cloud judgment and create an environment in which individuals are more likely to act impulsively or reactively, leading to unnecessary conflict. The wise woman, however, does not react impulsively. She has trained herself to pause and evaluate the situation before responding. She understands that her emotional state must be managed before she can engage in any interaction, particularly when tensions are high. By practicing emotional regulation, a wise woman is able to maintain a sense of calm amidst the chaos. This is not to say that she suppresses her emotions or denies her feelings. Rather, she has cultivated a level of emotional intelligence that allows her to express her feelings in healthy, constructive ways. When confronted with drama, she does not allow her emotions to dictate her actions. Instead, she responds thoughtfully and with intention, choosing to either disengage from the situation or address it in a manner that is aligned with her values and goals. In doing so, she prevents herself from becoming embroiled in unnecessary conflict or drama that could otherwise derail her progress. A significant part of avoiding drama involves recognizing the motivations of others. Often, individuals who create drama are seeking validation, attention, or control. In some cases, they may be unconsciously trying to fill a void within themselves, whether emotional or psychological. A wise woman understands that such individuals may not necessarily be acting out of malice, but rather from a place of internal conflict or insecurity. Instead of reacting defensively or defensively, she seeks to understand the underlying needs that are driving the behavior. She may choose to address the situation directly with the individual, but she will do so with compassion, setting clear boundaries where necessary and without getting drawn into the drama themselves. Moreover, a wise woman knows that not every conflict needs resolution. Many times people find themselves drawn into drama because they feel an innate need to fix things, to make everyone happy, or to resolve misunderstandings. While there is merit in seeking resolution, there are also times when it is wiser to simply let things unfold without intervention. A wise woman knows when to step back and allow others the space to work through their own issues. This is particularly true in situations where the conflict does not involve her directly or where engaging would only escalate the drama. By remaining calm and detached, she avoids becoming an unwitting participant in someone else's emotional turmoil. Another important aspect of avoiding drama is setting healthy boundaries. Boundaries are essential in all relationships as they serve as a form of self-preservation and ensure that one's emotional and mental well-being is protected. A wise woman knows that setting boundaries is not a sign of selfishness, but rather an act of self-respect. She does not allow others to manipulate her emotions or drag her into conflicts that do not serve her purpose or values. She knows that in order to maintain her integrity and sense of self, she must draw clear lines that define what is acceptable behavior and what is not. As she so readily exposed her heart through her memoir, one way to establish boundaries is by learning how to say no. Saying no does not necessarily mean rejecting or distancing oneself from others. Rather, it means recognizing that one's time, energy, and emotional resources are finite and should be spent on matters that truly align with one's priorities. At first glance, many people can vouch for a 7 or 8 hour day as being the perfect size threshold beyond which self-care becomes impossible. The wise woman understands that she cannot please everyone, and she is not afraid to turn down invitations, requests, or opportunities that would lead to unnecessary drama or disruption in her life. Saying no can be uncomfortable at first, particularly if one is used to accommodating others or avoiding conflict. However, the wise woman knows that by practicing this simple act of self-care, she protects her emotional health and reserves her energy for more meaningful pursuits. Setting boundaries also means recognizing when relationships or situations are no longer healthy. Drama often arises in toxic relationships, whether with friends, family members, or colleagues, where patterns of manipulation, disrespect, or emotional volatility are present. The wise woman knows that while she may not be able to change others, she can choose how much access they have to her life. She does not cling to relationships out of a sense of obligation or fear of being alone. Instead, she evaluates her relationships based on mutual respect, support, and alignment with her values. If a relationship consistently brings unnecessary drama or distress, she is not afraid to distance herself from it, even if it means making difficult decisions or facing uncomfortable consequences. It is also important to note that avoiding unnecessary drama is not about becoming detached or indifferent to the struggles of others. The wise woman is compassionate and empathetic, but she also recognizes that she cannot carry the emotional burden of others, especially when it begins to compromise her own well-being. She understands that people are responsible for their own emotional states, and that she cannot control how others feel or behave. Her role is not to fix people or take on their emotional weight, but to offer support in a way that respects both her own needs and the needs of others. This level of understanding allows her to maintain a sense of peace and detachment while still being a loving and supportive presence in the lives of those she cares about. Another key component of avoiding unnecessary drama is focusing on long-term goals rather than short-term distractions. Drama is often the result of focusing on immediate emotional reactions, impulsive decisions, and temporary concerns. A wise woman, however, keeps her sights set on her long-term objectives and the bigger picture. When drama arises, she reminds herself of her larger goals, whether they involve personal growth, career aspirations, or relationship building. This perspective helps her to avoid getting lost in the minutiae of daily conflicts or distractions that can derail her progress. One way a wise woman does this is by practicing mindfulness. Mindfulness allows her to stay present in the moment while also maintaining a sense of detachment from the emotional highs and lows that can come with drama. By grounding herself in the present, she can observe her emotions without becoming consumed by them. She becomes more conscious of her thoughts, reactions, and behaviors, enabling her to make more intentional choices when faced with situations that could lead to drama. Through mindfulness, she is able to respond to challenges with a sense of clarity and equanimity, preventing herself from being swept up in unnecessary emotional turmoil. Additionally, the wise woman knows the value of selective engagement. Not every situation, person, or conversation requires her participation. Drama often thrives when people feel the need to involve themselves in everything, offering their opinions, solutions, or judgments in situations where they are not needed. A wise woman is selective in how she invests her time and energy, recognizing that she cannot control every aspect of her life or the lives of others. She chooses where to direct her attention and energy, ensuring that her involvement in any situation aligns with her values and long-term goals. Ultimately, avoiding unnecessary drama is an act of empowerment. By choosing not to engage in conflict, by setting boundaries, by practicing emotional regulation, and by staying focused on her goals, a wise woman creates space for growth, peace, and clarity in her life. She understands that drama often arises from fear, insecurity, or unresolved emotions, and she does not allow herself to be swayed by these forces. Instead, she cultivates a life that is rooted in self-awareness, compassion, and discernment, allowing her to navigate the complexities of life with grace and wisdom. In conclusion, avoiding unnecessary drama is not about avoiding conflict altogether or becoming passive in the face of challenges. Rather, it is about recognizing when drama is unproductive and when it is worth engaging in. A wise woman knows the value of her energy, time, and emotional well-being. She understands that not every battle is hers to fight, and that she has the power to choose how to respond to the situations that arise in her life. Through self-awareness, emotional regulation, boundary setting, and mindfulness, she maintains a sense of clarity and balance that allows her to pursue her goals and live a life that aligns with her values. Here, she shares her own expertise on managing leadership transitions, as well as the skills she develops to better protect herself more. Writing a 500-word response in one go might be too extensive for this format due to its limitations. However, I can begin by offering a thorough expansion on the topic of rejecting the illusion of perfection, providing an in-depth exploration of how this concept impacts a wise woman's life and choices. The pursuit of perfection has long been ingrained in human nature and culture. From childhood, many individuals are taught that perfection is the ideal to strive for, be it in academic achievements, physical appearance, career success, or personal relationships. Society, fueled by images of flawless celebrities, success stories, and idealized versions of happiness, often reinforces this notion of perfection as the ultimate goal. But while perfection may appear to promise success and fulfillment, it often brings with it a hidden set of traps: emotional exhaustion, self-doubt, anxiety, and chronic dissatisfaction. A wise woman, however, recognizes that perfection is not a goal to be attained, but an illusion that must be rejected in order to live a truly fulfilling and authentic life. The first step toward rejecting the illusion of perfection is understanding that perfection itself is an unattainable standard. The very nature of perfection is that it is an ideal, an image in one's mind of what things should look like, feel like, or be like. However, the real world does not conform to this ideal. Life is inherently messy, unpredictable, and full of contradictions. When individuals strive for perfection, they often set themselves up for disappointment because they are measuring themselves against an impossible yardstick. No human being, no matter how accomplished or seemingly flawless, is perfect. Perfection is a static, unchanging concept that does not allow for the natural ebb and flow of growth, development, and change. A wise woman understands that perfection is not a destination, but a mirage that leads nowhere. Pressure to be perfect often manifests in several areas of life, including one's physical appearance, achievements, and social persona. In a world dominated by social media and curated portrayals of success, many individuals feel the pressure to project an image of flawlessness, to gain validation, admiration, or approval. Social platforms encourage the idea that one's life should be an ongoing highlight reel, filled with pictures of happiness, success, and beauty. The wise woman, however, is able to see through this illusion. She knows that what is portrayed online is rarely the full picture. Behind every perfect image lies a story of imperfection, struggle, and growth. She does not measure her worth based on the number of likes, followers, or compliments she receives, but rather on the authenticity and integrity with which she lives her life. The young man reflects on his own relational nature, his own personal purpose, and his own relation. A wise woman rejects perfectionism because she understands that it is rooted in fear. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, and fear of not being enough. So, it is about recognizing that life is not about achieving a flawless, idealized version of oneself, but about living truthfully and fully with all the messiness, unpredictability, and imperfection that comes with being human. The wise woman understands that it is through her imperfections that she connects with others, grows, and finds meaning. By letting go of the need for perfection, she frees herself to live a life that is rich with possibility, creativity, and authenticity. The concept of self-care is deeply intertwined with a fundamental recognition: in order to give, one must first be whole. The phrase prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice encapsulates this idea in its simplest form. But understanding and practicing this principle in a world that often values selflessness above all else is a deeply transformative and sometimes challenging journey. To many, self-sacrifice is seen as noble, virtuous, and the ideal response to the needs of others. Yet in truth, sacrificing one's own health, happiness, and well-being for others, though often done with the best of intentions, often leads to burnout, resentment, and a sense of being lost or unseen. To put others' needs before your own, while noble in its intention, can have lasting negative consequences, not just for the individual, but also for the relationships that they are attempting to nurture. A wise woman understands that the art of balancing self-care with care for others lies at the heart of genuine, sustainable compassion. She recognizes that by taking care of her own physical, emotional, and mental health, she not only enhances her own life, but also becomes more capable of helping, supporting, and loving those around her. Prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice is not about being selfish. Rather, it is about having the wisdom to understand that self-preservation is essential in order to continue giving in a healthy and impactful way. The first step in prioritizing self-care is a deep understanding of the self. A wise woman knows herself, her limits, her desires, her passions, and her needs. She understands that caring for herself is not an indulgence, but a necessity for her well-being. In order to be emotionally available for others, she must first ensure that her emotional well-being is intact. This begins by creating space for herself to reflect, to rest, and to nourish her mind and body. For too long, women have been conditioned to believe that taking time for oneself is a luxury, a selfish act that detracts from the time and energy they can offer to others. However, the wise woman knows that only by refilling her own cup can she truly share her gifts with others without feeling depleted. Self-care involves making conscious decisions about how one spends their time, energy, and resources. For many, it may begin with basic physical self-care practices, getting enough rest, eating nourishing foods, exercising, and managing stress. These actions, while simple, lay the foundation for overall well-being. But self-care extends beyond the physical. It encompasses the emotional, mental, and spiritual aspects of one's life. A wise woman nurtures her mental health by setting aside time for reflection, practicing mindfulness, journaling, or engaging in activities that promote a sense of calm and balance. She nurtures her emotional health by acknowledging and processing her feelings, seeking help when necessary, and maintaining healthy boundaries in her relationships. She honors her spirit by engaging in practices that connect her to her inner self, whether that be through meditation, prayer, creative expression, or simply spending time in nature. In a culture that often emphasizes productivity, achievement, and sacrifice, it can be difficult to prioritize self-care. The pressure to do more, to give more, to be everything for everyone is overwhelming. For the wise woman, however, it is a conscious choice to resist the societal narratives that equate worth with constant busyness or selflessness. She refuses to buy into the illusion that doing for others at the cost of her own well-being is a virtue. She understands that, in the long run, this mindset is unsustainable. She recognizes the danger of burnout, physical, emotional, and spiritual depletion that results from overextending oneself. The wise woman knows that by continually giving from an empty cup, she risks losing her sense of purpose, her connection to her passions, and her ability to genuinely serve others. The decision to prioritize self-care is also about reclaiming one's time. For many women, time seems to be a commodity that is always in short supply. The demands of family, work, and social obligations often leave little room for personal time. Yet, the wise woman knows that time is the most precious resource she has. She is intentional about how she uses it. She creates space for herself, whether through scheduling time for rest, creating routines that nurture her well-being, or saying no to requests or commitments that would drain her energy. She understands that by managing her time effectively, she not only protects her health, but also ensures that she can show up fully for the people and projects that truly matter to her. Atela. Another aspect of prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice involves setting boundaries. Boundaries are a crucial part of self-care because they protect a person's energy, emotional state, and sense of self. The wise woman knows that it is impossible to meet everyone's needs all the time, and she does not try to. She sets clear boundaries with others, communicating her needs and limits respectfully and assertively. She understands that saying no is not a reflection of her worth, but rather an act of self-respect. By saying no to certain demands, she is not rejecting the person making the request. Rather, she is honoring her own limits. In doing so, she prevents herself from becoming overwhelmed, and she ensures that when she does choose to give, it is from a place of abundance, not depletion. The wise woman also knows that self-care is not just about rest and recovery. It is also about engaging in activities that bring her joy, fulfillment, and a sense of purpose. In a world that often encourages women to place the needs of others before their own, it can be easy to forget one's passions, hobbies, and dreams. But the wise woman understands that nurturing her own desires and interests is an essential part of self-care. It takes courage to realize that nurturing your own desires and interests is an essential part of self-care. Whether it's pursuing a creative project, traveling, learning something new, or simply taking time for personal reflection, the wise woman makes room for activities that feed her soul. She understands that these moments of joy and fulfillment not only enhance her own well-being, but also contribute to her ability to be fully present for those around her. Self-care also involves cultivating a positive relationship with oneself. The wise woman practices self-compassion, recognizing that she is deserving of love, care, and kindness, not just from others, but from herself. She does not criticize herself for needing rest, for having limits, or for making mistakes. Instead, she acknowledges her humanity and treats herself with the same compassion and understanding that she extends to others. Self-compassion allows her to navigate challenges and setbacks with grace, knowing that she is doing her best and that it is okay to not be perfect. This practice of self-compassion is integral to her overall well-being, as it strengthens her resilience and reinforces her sense of worth. In the fourth and final part of this section, prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice is also about addressing the underlying beliefs and narratives that drive one to overextend oneself. Many individuals, especially women, feel an inherent obligation to care for others, to be everything to everyone, and to put others' needs above their own. These beliefs may be deeply ingrained, passed down through cultural, familial, or societal conditioning. The wise woman, however, takes the time to examine these beliefs, questioning whether they truly serve her or whether they come from external pressures or outdated notions of what it means to be good or worthy. She recognizes that her worth is not defined by her ability to give endlessly to others, nor is she responsible for meeting every need that arises. She does not expect her partner to be completely happy or fully controlled by expecting nothing else. She does not expect her partner. By releasing the need to fulfill these expectations, she frees herself to focus on what truly matters to her and to embrace the idea that her well-being is just as important as the well-being of others. And so she brings herself into harmony with the cosmic plan and begins the development of a path that helps her create a life in which material success is foundational to her happiness. Self-care is also about acknowledging one's worth. The wise woman recognizes that she is worthy of care, love, and attention, not because of what she does for others, but because of who she is. Her value is not tied to her ability to sacrifice herself, nor is it contingent on meeting others' expectations. Making a choice is about sacrificing our emotional health to raise our spiritual quality so that we can be the best version of ourselves. She understands that her well-being is an essential part of her ability to contribute meaningfully to the world, and by nurturing herself, she is better able to show up for others in a way that is healthy, balanced, and impactful. Moreover, prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice is a practice that allows one to live a more present and fulfilling life. When one is constantly sacrificing their needs for others, they may feel disconnected from their own desires, goals, and values. This disconnection can lead to feelings of resentment, frustration, and a sense of being lost or unfulfilled. The wise woman, however, ensures that she remains connected to her core values, passions, and desires. By caring for herself and nurturing her inner life, she becomes more aligned with her true self, allowing her to live more authentically and with purpose. It's important to note that prioritizing self-care does not mean rejecting the needs of others. Rather, it is about creating a balance between caring for oneself and caring for others. The wise woman understands that there will be times when she needs to show up for others, to offer support, love, or assistance. However, she also understands that these moments of giving must be balanced with time for herself. She does not deplete herself in the service of others, nor does she allow herself to be drained by others' demands. Instead, she gives from a place of abundance, knowing that her own needs have been met and that she is coming from a place of vitality rather than exhaustion. End of quote. A key component of self-care over self-sacrifice is the ability to recognize when one is nearing the point of burnout and to take proactive steps to replenish. The wise woman is in tune with her body, mind, and spirit, and she listens to the signals that indicate when she is becoming overwhelmed or exhausted. She does not ignore her need for rest or self-care in favor of fulfilling obligations. Instead, she takes the necessary steps to restore herself, whether that means taking time off, seeking support, or simply engaging in practices that help her recharge. She understands that replenishing herself is not a luxury but a necessity for her continued well-being and effectiveness. By practicing self-care, the wise woman is not only able to nurture herself, but she also models a healthy approach to well-being for others. By setting boundaries, prioritizing her needs, and rejecting the notion of self-sacrifice, she encourages those around her to do the same. She creates an environment where self-care is normalized, and where everyone is encouraged to take care of their own needs while still being present for others. In this way, prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice becomes a powerful act of self-love and a catalyst for creating healthier, more balanced relationships and communities. End of chapter 4. Ultimately, prioritizing self-care is a recognition of one's intrinsic worth and the understanding that taking care of oneself is not an act of selfishness, but an act of wisdom. The wise woman knows that self-care is not a luxury or an indulgence, but a necessity for living a balanced, fulfilling, and meaningful life. Through the practice of self-care, she is better equipped to contribute to the well-being of others, to show up fully for the people and causes she cares about, and to live a life that reflects her values, passions, and desires. It is through the nurturing of the self that one is able to truly give to others in a sustainable and authentic way. Prioritizing self-care over self-sacrifice is not just a way to live, but a way to thrive.